Hi, everybody. My name is Mabel Kimball. I am currently a second year medical student at AUC School of Medicine, and I am also currently one of the Match a Resident brand ambassadors. I chose the international route specifically um, because one, it gave me the opportunity to pursue my dream of becoming a doctor, and two, um, because in my journey of becoming a physician, right, it had taken me over, I think, 5 years to make myself as competitive as I could for the American cycle. And so essentially, I took the MCAT 3 times and wasn't successful with that. I uh, after graduating from undergrad in 2014, I took about 5 years to, make myself competitive. Like I was saying, I did a master's of biomedical sciences program, a master's of public health program, and simultaneously, as I was doing those programs, I was also, you know, um, doing the post-bac program and raising my 2-year-old son at the time. And so it was actually a very hard task for me to do, like managing and juggling all of those things. But somehow, with dedication and hard work, I was able to graduate and, graduate summa cum laude, and with honors with my master's program. Um, with that being said, when I graduated from my master's program, I essentially moved forward to becoming a research scientist at UCLA, where I worked on infectious diseases research. And with that, I essentially now had the tasks of a full time work, on top of having to study for the MCAT again for the fourth time. And in addition to that, I'm raising my kid. And so that was, a struggle on its own. And, um, it was really hard at that time for me. And it was a time where, um, I really knew for myself that I couldn't see myself doing anything else but medicine. However, my scores were not a representative of what I thought I was capable of. And so, as when I was a research scientist at UCLA, I were exposed to a lot of um, you know physicians. I started shadowing. I started doing a lot of work within medicine. I had a mentor that became very invested in me as well, and were very supportive in terms of seeing my success. He connected me with a bunch of his residents to kind of speak to me about the journey of becoming a physician outside of the United States and taking the route of going to either St. George's or AUC. And so those residents pretty much emphasized the idea of pretty much just telling me how, that the journey's not easy and it's tough. However, if this is the time where you feel that you are as prepared as you could be, then I say do it, because it is an opportunity to continue and make your dream of becoming a physician a reality. And most of the residents that I spoke to as well, they felt prepared and competent to be the physician that they are, as residents at that time. And so that was a big part of my decision as well, in terms of doing my research and understanding what the actual opportunity of becoming a physician by going to a university outside of the country. And then in addition to that, I also went to a medical mission in Dominican Republic before I actually made my full decision of wanting to go, because I wanted to kind of resurface all of that feeling that I had in terms of why is it that I want to be a doctor, and is it worth it for me to go all the way out, outside of the country, leave my family, and pursue this dream. And so I decided that I was going to go to a medical mission in Dominican Republic, where I learned about the history of their health and the struggles of the community in the Bates, where they needed a lot of medical assistance and health education. And so with that experience, and with me going with the church group, it really allowed me to dig deeper in terms of why I was going into medicine. Going to the Bates in Dominican Republic and seeing the conditions of the people that were there, I think it just kind of like broke my heart to see the children, to see the adults, to see them suffering from things that were preventable. And so um, I prayed a lot. I pretty much research a lot of, and when I say research, meaning like I dig deep inside of me to really understand why, I needed to be a doctor. And so I felt like it was a calling at the end of it. That journey was the journey to in Dominican Republic, and the involvement that I had with Project Dominicana was pretty much a confirmation of my journey to becoming a doctor. And when I returned back to the United States, it was really just, I came to the revelation that it didn't really matter what anyone said anymore about my journey. It mattered. The only thing that mattered was me accomplishing the goal. And was there an opportunity for me to become that? And so the questions that were given to me and then was answered through that experience was my purpose, my goal, and was I going to save lives? And essentially, all of those were answered. And so, with that, knowing that my heart was full, knowing that I was rejuvenated from the trip, I had decided that it was time for me to move forward. And that no matter what it was, no matter how hard it was, I was going to continue to move forward. And, I completely knew from the beginning that this was going to be a hard journey and that it wasn't going to be easy. And so I was okay with that as long as the end goal was to become a physician. Why did I choose AUC? If my straight answer to that would be I chose AUC because they chose me. AUC gave me the opportunity to become a doctor. AUC gave me the scholarship that I needed in order for me to move forward, so that money wasn't an issue. AUC opened the door for me, and that's all I really needed to fulfill the calling that I have on my life. And so it was, an important part of my journey to know that the university I was going to, no matter what university it was, that they believed in me, and that it was something that that they were going to give me some type of scholarship in order for me to achieve this goal. My experience thus far, any experience that is as hard as medical school is going to change you, is going to transform you. And for me, this whole process has been a transformation. I am a completely different person from when I started medical school. Because I've been challenged, because of the amount of information that had been given to me, and I've been forced to kind of just, make sure that I, kind of extract everything that I do need from it so that I can move on and be successful. And with AUC, the way that it's set up with our courses is that we have our courses for the semester, and then the semester above us is pretty much set up to tutor us. And those peer tutors are tutors that have honored the course and done very well. And so, in terms of them being able to teach us, they pretty much emphasize things that usually are either emphasized on boards, emphasized by the professor's exam, and emphasized in terms of the concepts that we need to actually really, really understand in order for us to do well in that semester. Our semester is usually composed of like 4 months, and we have 3 exams. Every block, every month, we have an exam, and within our peer tutorings, we have peer tutoring sessions every week for the week before. And so, pretty much, like I said before, most of the things that we talked about in tutoring sessions are things that are emphasized from previous semesters, and things, concepts that are important to understand for the boards and for the professor as well. And so, with that, in addition to, you know, doing things over and over again, looking at the concepts over and over again, essentially doing more questions over and over again in order for you to make sure that you're applying everything that you're learning. That on, in uh, what do you call it? That, in addition to everything that you do to study, the peer tutoring, the um, going over the concept over and over again for repetition, and then practice questions, and then doing it over again to understand what you don't know, and then continue to review, do questions. It's literally just like, consistent, getting exposed to the concepts over and over again, doing the questions, doing it again, reviewing questions, reviewing questions. And really, that's on top of the tutoring, really has helped me be successful in my journey, in this journey of becoming a medical physician at AUC. And I think that is the difference in terms of my struggle with the MCAT. That a lot of that was missing, and I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe because of my circumstances at the time, me having to work full time and being a mom that I am as well. Like maybe it wasn't. Maybe because I wasn't. I didn't spend as much time as I should have spent with the MCAT, compared to how much time I am spending with studying now. At this point of my life as a medical student, I pretty much dedicate all of my time to studying, and I have the ability to do that now because the circumstances are different compared to when I was working full time, a mom, and studying for the MCAT at the same time. So AUC really just gave me the opportunity that I needed in order for me to be able to succeed as I continue to achieve this goal. This journey of becoming a physician internationally is not for the weak at heart. You have to be motivated, you have to be disciplined, you have to have a strong mind, because people are going to come to you, and they're going to um, there's still myths that are associated with being an IMG, and sometimes they'll say things to you that are not very nice. And so when I say it's not for the weak-hearted, I mean that you just have to have a strong mind to know that you are competent and that you are going to be a great doctor one day. You have to rise above those things. Being thousands of miles away from home, I think the way there was a couple of things that really helped me cope with this journey. One of them was, the first 14 years of my life, I was raised in the Philippines, and so I knew what it's like to live on an island, and I knew what it had to take in order for me to live at a place where it's very far away from family. Another is my belief in God. I am very religious, and the people of St. Martin is also as well. And so there was a connection between me and the community of St. Martin because of that. And so anytime I was sad, and or anytime where I felt like I could have done better on an exam, and or I could have done better with anything that I was doing at the time, the community and or the people of St. Martin that I would encounter are people, they would always just give you encouragement and remind you about God. And you don't get that in the United States. And essentially that, was like every time someone from someone from St. Martin kind of came up to me like that, I I got almost teary eyed about it because um, it was exactly what I needed. You know what I mean? Like it is, um, it, like I said, this journey is not for the weak at heart. And I love that the community in St. Martin, or the people that I encountered, were always there to lift me up. They always made a point to make sure that I was okay, or make sure that they prayed with me, or um, um, made sure that, you know, that everything was going to be okay, and that they were reminding me. Most often it's like the idea of, you know, me, even though I am in a different country, learning about medicine and still reminding me about the opportunities that I have, that it's still not as much as they have. Um, and so that was a big thing for me. And, I've always tried to remember how fortunate I am to be here. And every time I encounter them, I always feel humbled for the opportunity to even encounter their community, their culture, and study there as well. Um, St. Martin is always going to have a special place in my heart, as you can see. And all this corona stuff really has, kind of prematurely ended the experience that I was expecting to have for the first 2 years. But since that happened, I haven't really been able to experience all of the 2 years. So I've had to come back to the United States and kind of just be able to, still hit the road running and study from here, without, the usual that I essentially wrapped my head around before. So that was, uh, uh, that's how I cope with that, with being abroad. The community of St. Martin, the people there definitely helped me. Being that I, was born and raised, spent half of my life almost in the Philippines. And then another thing is my kid. My kid helped me cope with being away from home, because I always thought about his life and how much more he deserved. Um, and so, yeah, that's me. Uh, I am a very essentially passionate person, very committed, very dedicated. It's kind of hard for me to quit. Like, I'm gonna keep going regardless. Always, though, sometimes I could be a little prideful, because I feel like I've gone through so much and I deserve so much more. But most often, I most often humble myself, because it doesn't really get you anywhere when you're not humble. And so, um, yeah, that's my journey. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or Match a Resident. I'm very, very fortunate to and appreciate the opportunity to be a brand ambassador and represent Match a Resident. Thank you, and you guys have a great evening.